All right, let's dive into a story that is just as sharp and relevant today as it was when Nietzsche first put it on paper. It's this incredible parable about huge ambition, spectacular faceplant failure, and the kind of wisdom you can only get on the other side of that. This is the story of Zarathustra's very first descent, a journey that has something to teach, well, anyone who's ever tried to bring a big idea into a world that just wasn't ready to hear it. Right out of the gate, you see this isn't some gentle suggestion. It's a challenge, a gauntlet thrown right at our feet. Zarathustra doesn't show up to make people feel comfortable. No, he's a challenger. And this one single explosive idea that humanity isn't the finish line but just the starting point, that's the spark that ignites his whole mission and, as we're about to see, his biggest, most epic conflict. So, you have to ask, why on earth would anyone ditch a whole decade of peaceful solitude? Well, the text doesn't paint this as a choice, not really. It calls it a sun-like internal necessity. After 10 years, his wisdom was just overflowing, like a sun that's so full of light, it just has to shine. He felt this deep compulsion to go down and share it. This wasn't about him or about glory. It was this urgent, almost cosmic need to give humanity a push. And this is where you see the true scale of what's at stake. Zarathustra's whole journey, it's like the battleground for this massive bet on our future. You've got two sides. On one, there's the spirit of becoming, which looks at us and sees a bridge, something with potential, leading to something magnificent. But on the other side, you've got the spirit of contempt, which just scoffs and sees a flimsy, sagging rope that's just waiting to snap. So Zarathustra is basically stepping out onto that very rope to prove it can actually hold the weight of greatness. Okay, so he gets to a town with the perfect name, the Motley Cow. He walks into the marketplace ready to deliver his world-changing ideas and crickets. He's met with this wall of total indifference, what the source calls the low hum of modern unease. And look, this isn't even outright hostility. Not yet anyway. It's something way, way worse. A crowd that's just too busy, too distracted by little comforts to even look up and consider something like greatness. So what does this crowd actually want? Zarathustra offers them this grand vision of overcoming yourself, of becoming more. And they basically counter with their own ideal, the last man. This is the complete opposite of everything he stands for. The last man is the ultimate symbol of mediocrity, a creature whose only goal in life is to be comfortable, to be safe, and to be, well, blissfully and unchallengingly stupid. Let's just break this down for a second. The happiness of the last man is described as blinking. Think about it. It's shallow, it's fleeting, it has no real depth. These are people who want a world with zero risk, zero struggle, and because of that, zero chance for any real growth. And in this moment that's both hilarious and tragic, Zarathustra is preaching about danger and overcoming, and the crowd literally shouts back, "Give us this last man, O Zarathustra, make us into this last man." They don't just say no thanks to his vision, they actively demand to be made smaller. It's wild. And then, almost as if on cue, this whole abstract, ideological failure becomes brutally, horribly physical. A tightrope walker starts his act, high above the marketplace. Now, this is not just some random circus performer. This is a powerful, living metaphor for Zarathustra's own dangerous attempt to walk that line, to bridge that huge chasm between what humanity is and what it could be. So this tightrope walker, he represents anyone who strives, right? Anyone who dares to try and cross that abyss. But then, this devil-like buffoon, a jester, shows up and literally jumps right over him, knocking him off the rope. And this illustrates a really crucial and frankly terrifying point. Mediocrity isn't just passive. It's not just indifference. It can be an active, destructive force that goes out of its way to sabotage anyone who tries to rise above. That fall is a gut punch, a physical symbol of Zarathustra's ideas crashing and burning. The brutal lesson here, being a lone visionary just isn't going to cut it. The fall of the tightrope walker shows Zarathustra that trying to do something great all by yourself, without, as the text says, fellow creators to help hold the rope steady and keep the buffoons away, well, it's a recipe for absolute disaster. And the crowd? Oh, they just laugh. They laugh as the man falls to his death. So, totally defeated, Zarathustra leaves town, carrying the body of the fallen tightrope walker. In this moment of absolute rock bottom, this is the belly of the whale part of the hero's journey, right? It's in this total crisis, in the wreckage of his first attempt, that the real change starts. This is where he finds his ultimate boon. And it's not some magic sword or potion, it's a complete, radical change in strategy. And this is the core of his new revolutionary insight. He realizes that the old way of thinking, what the source calls the ancient bargain, suffer now on earth for some reward in an afterlife, that's a dead end. So he makes this radical pivot. He decides to ground all value, all meaning, right here in the terrifying beauty of what is here. Meaning isn't something you wait for. It's something you have to forge, right here on Earth. This insight leads to a complete strategic 180. So on the left, you've got his old plan. Be a shepherd to a flock that didn't even want to be led. A shepherd to the dead. A total failure. But on the right, you see his new strategy taking shape. Forget the masses. His real job is to find the inspired few, other creators, other collaborators, and to work with them. He goes from being a preacher to being a co-creator. And this huge pivot gives birth to a brand new mission. This one is way more focused, way more potent. He's not trying to be a savior for the whole world anymore. Now he's on a targeted mission. He's looking for partners, for co-conspirators in this massive project of forging a new meaning of Earth. And how do you create something brand new? Well, first, you've got to destroy what's old. His new mission is summed up perfectly in this powerful image. He has to smash the old tablets. This means literally tearing down the old moral codes, the inherited values that created the last man to begin with. You have to clear the ground so that something new, something truly life-affirming, can finally grow. So let's just wrap up this first act. The preacher who came down the mountain, he failed. I mean, spectacularly. But inside that failure, the creator was born. He found his real calling wasn't to herd the indifferent masses, but to forge a new future with the few who were willing to dare alongside him. That cosmic wager on humanity? It's not over. Round 1 is just finished. Now, he's getting ready for a second descent. But this time, it's not for some god in the sky, it's for the meaning of the Earth itself. And all of this leaves us with a really provocative question to chew on. Zarathustra comes to believe that the old rules, the inherited moralities, they're basically a cage that keeps humanity small. So it kind of forces us to ask ourselves, if he's right about that, what does it actually mean to be free? And if you were to snatch the old tablets in your own life, what new values would you create to build a world that aims not just for comfort, but for greatness?